All right, number 3, another love letter to New York City. Go!
What's today's date, by the way? 25th. In 13 days, I'm moving to New York City. I'll be a New Yorker. Woo. I know, right? So, but to me, it feels like being a New Yorker has become much more of some sort of social identity than any sort of indicator of location. So in a way, I feel like, though I haven't moved there, I can say I'm a New Yorker already. In fact, you know what? Screw you, I'm a New Yorker, I can say what I want. I certainly love the city. I love it so much that I loved it the first time I went there in the 6th grade with my parents on a special trip without my brothers. We stayed at the Plaza Hotel and climbed the Empire State Building and went to FAO Schwartz twice. Yeah. I certainly love it in so much as I love going back to visit my best friend who grew up on the East River about a block from the UN building. And God, how many nights I've slept on his pull-out couch, which is very lumpy, with like 3 other dudes who are crashing there too. I certainly love New York in the sense that I love that it's diversity that's not part white and part black. It's diversity that's part Nigerian and part Cambodian and part Polish and part Argentinian. And I love that there's 170 different languages spoken there, and I love that 40% of New Yorkers come from outside of the US. I love that some queen who was made fun of in high school for being gay can move to New York because New York is the only place to go to do theater! And some conservative Southern kid who went to school on scholarship can move there because
New York is the only place to go for financial business.
And some loner from the Midwest who wrote poetry instead of playing basketball can go there because
New York is the only place where I'll get published.
And they're all right? They're all freaking right? I love that New York is the city that birthed us abstract expressionism and punk, hip-hop and salsa, disco and the Harlem Renaissance. I love that it's many things to many people, clean but also dirty, safe but also unsafe, but always loud, always really freaking loud. The writer Joan Didion, if you know her, said that at one point she was in love with New York City. She says,
I do not mean love in any colloquial way. I mean that I was in love with the city, the way that you love the first person who ever touches you, and you never quite love anyone that way again.
I love that. Because Joan Didion has what I want. Right now, New York City is that person I have a crush on in a bar, and Joan Didion ran into her and had a few drinks and things went well, and then she took her home. Joan Didion has had her. She goes on to say something else. She says,
I remember walking across 62nd Street one twilight that first spring. I was late to meet someone, but I stopped at Lexington Avenue and bought a peach and stood on the corner eating it. And I knew that I'd come out of the West and reach the mirage.
She came out of the West and reached the mirage. It's a little bit waspy. It's something Joan Didion would say, but I kind of like it. I like this idea of New York City as a mirage because it's this thing I'm always like kind of going after, or at least have been for the last few years. And I like that you could be there, and like a mirage, like you could live there a year or a lifetime and never eat in every good restaurant or see every great neighborhood. And yet all the time to me it's still kind of perfect and shimmery and just out of reach, you know? But at some point Joan Didion got tired of New York. She didn't feel young enough to be there, and she just grew tired of it all. And she says,
the last time I was in New York was in a cold January, and everyone was ill and tired.
And so I say, fuck you, Joan Didion, because I'm a New Yorker, and the year magical thinking sucked anyway. But she's right about one thing. She says that most people say New York's a city for the very rich or the very poor, but that she would add to that list the very young. Because more than anything, that's what I feel like right now. 22 years old, very young, kind of poor, and in 13 days, a New Yorker.